I'm Kieran Doyle. I'm from Clanrye Veterinary Clinic, which is a mixed animal practice based in Newry, County Down. We are a typical mixed practice, beef, suckler, dairy, sheep, and obviously the companion animals. Me, myself, I'm from a sheep background down in the Mourns. The local guy at a place called Cloan, just on the, on the Mourns. Dad used to run sheep, 100 ewes at the moment, one stage 200, when I was growing up, 300 ewes in the Mourns. So that's what got me into veterinary and into livestock.
James Henning, rear dairy bred calves through the beef. We grow a bit of grain, County Down near Newry. We're dairy bred calves through the beef, buy them about 3 weeks old, take them right through to finish. Rear roughly about 150 calves a year. Used to start off about 80, now we've built up to about 150 over the last sort of 7, 8 or 9, 10 years. Mostly Angus, Belgian Blue, few Friesians, just multi-species, but mostly the last few years been Angus and Belgian Blue.
I enjoy mixed animal practice. I enjoy small animal cases. Certainly life's changed a lot there, our veterinary's changed a lot. We have a lot more lab equipment than that. We can follow cases right through. But I also like going out, doing the farm animal aspect of it. I think some of the greatest thrills in life you get are, cow cesareans, delivering a live calf, or lambing time, lambing ewes. Some people don't like getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, but it can be tempered a wee bit. If you go out and get 2 live lambs from a ewe middle of the night, it makes it worthwhile.
I like bringing the calves in young and seeing them grow right up through, and then finished and cattle doing well, and like growing a bit of cereal, planted and seeing it grow to harvest.
The 3 things I would say would be colostrum, and colostrum. Colostrum is the most important aspect. And calves need to get 10% of the body weight, certainly in the first 8 hours. It does that transfer passive immunity does work up to 24 hours. But now studies are showing that feeding that even transition milk right up to 14 days is really helping those calves, especially now. A lot of you guys are probably vaccinating against rotavirus and coronavirus. The new crypto vaccine is out, and certainly part of getting the maximum benefit of that cryptosporidium vaccine is going to be feeding that transition milk for up to 14 days. Which certainly is very important. For farmers like James, who's buying calves, he obviously is not calving them, so that's something that's out of his control, the colostrum. But he understands that he knows a calf almost comes in that hasn't got enough colostrum. They're the ones that that cause the problems. And certainly the other things you say colostrum is number one by a huge margin. The rest of it is hygiene. You want nice dry beds. I even know as a vet walking across pens where calves are, you feel that squelch in the feet. Pens aren't dry. There's moisture there that leads to an environment where pathogens can thrive, and that leads to scars and pneumonia.
The most important thing would be when the calf gets plenty of colostrum, but unfortunately that's out of my control. So from then on, I think it's good diet and good housing, good quality feed.
Yeah, well, to me, certainly, I'm sort of beat on this point all the time, is colostrum. It's getting colostrum into them. In that first, certainly 8 hours, up to 24 hours. For farmers like James who are buying in calves, I would be advising them to buy them from sources that where the guy is getting the colostrum into them. Now, James said it earlier on. You sort of know the calves that haven't got colostrum, and you sort of know after a while, if you know your suppliers, the guys are doing it right. They can say they're doing it right, but you eventually, they found out, a few weeks later, or even a few days later, that calf that's scarring in a batch of 9 or 10, if there's one scar and you realise it's from a different source, often you realise what's happened, that calf hasn't got enough colostrum,
Probably sourcing calves direct off farm has helped. I've tried to move away from sale yard calves to more direct farm calves. Yeah, they seem to be more consistent. You have a better idea why the men that do their calves well and the ones that don't. And good housing is a big thing. Vaccinating is important, and the precision microbes has been a big help.
Well, from a veterinary point of view, just from a diagnostic, it works across a lot of other species, is that, the common things are common, so going out to do investigations, in any sort of, be it small animals or farm animals, look for the common things first. We talk about calves with any sort of disease. You're going to be looking past diarrhea first, in calves, or scar, and pneumonia, before you start good looking at anything, any of the other conditions. It's the same in all species. The common things, are common in small animals. A lot of diarrhea. It's just stress diarrhea. That is sorted out quite easily. You don't have to sort of do all the tests at the start. Look after the common things first, and then whenever or if they don't work, you're looking a bit further afield then.
Well, a good healthy calf's a more profitable calf. Thrives better. You've less medicines, and maybe Kieran not like, but less. You don't need to call the vet out as often. But yeah, it's nice to see calves doing well, and a good healthy calf takes a lot less time to rear. A sick calf with scar can take up a lot of time. It can take longer to feed one calf. You could feed 20 calves, 30 calves as quick as you feed one, sick calf. I
like escapism. When I go away from work, I'm not into any True Life podcasts. Game of Thrones, I say to everybody, dragons, medieval swords. That's sort of what I like, Yeah, the world seems to be full of these grippy podcasts of True Life. I like to get away from it all. Escapism. Game of Thrones is my thing, so get into Game of Thrones.
It's hard. I just always enjoyed farming. It's nice to see the calves this livestock doing well. This last couple of years, the weather has been challenging, but just still well. And then the family comes and helps me there too. Is a good help too. The children help me there, and the wife sometimes, and it definitely it helps. Like,
veterinary's a very enjoyable life. But certainly, there's quite a bit of stress in it as well. I like to, when I leave the clinic, go out the door, leave the clinic behind, and not take work home with me. It's easier said than done, but that's my piece of advice. If you can sort of get yourself mentally tuned that you walk into the clinic in the morning, yes, you're into your veterinary life. When I leave the clinic at night, close the door, that's my day done, and park everything there. There's nothing that can't wait till the following morning, and it just gives your brain a chance to decompress a bit.
Maybe going out for a meal with my wife and friends, it's nice to get away the odd night.
But look, I do find them useful. Certainly, in those instances where something's just not right. Certainly, calves that have certainly crypto calves. That especially guys who maybe have them on a or have been diagnosed with something like cryptosporidium or some of the other scars. I think they're a very useful help in getting them calves back up and running and going again. Now, certainly, I've seen guys who are using them from birth, and they're certainly very, very useful in helping those calves sort of get through that, first few weeks of life to get them up and running, But I certainly do find it's very useful, certainly in calves, maybe that are on the course of halocure, and just do help those calves give a wee bit more of a thrive and give them a chance, to help sort of, I think, flood the guts with good bugs, so the bad bugs have to fight a bit more, And yeah, And any of those cows, any guys that come into me with sort of, certainly calves in that first 3 or 4 weeks that are, just not doing. I do find it something very useful, to prescribe, and yeah, the feedback from it, is pretty positive,
Probably in work was get better before you get bigger. People think that if they're struggling, if they get bigger, they'll have less problems, but I think the most important thing is get better at what you're doing before you get bigger.
I remember going out to a guy in my first job. I would like to see a sick calf or, calf with pneumonia. But, just as he was finishing up, he said, look, here, there's a ram in the pen over here. I want you to have a quick look at it. He's got a bit of a swelling on his jaw. So he had him in a wee pen, like a wee calf pen, a ram or ram lamb. And, the guy was there was a pen like this. He was sort of leaning over, sort of chatting into me as I stepped into the pen to go and examine the ram. And as he was chatting away, talking about football or something, I looked at this lamb, someone's holding the chin up, looking at this lump on the lamb's jaw. I squeezed it, suddenly it went pop. There's an abscess. Your mum was standing about this far from it. I looked to see where the pus had went, I think it actually hit the back of his tonsils. It had such a direct hit, So, needless to say, he ran out. I think he was sick or something, but it's just one of them moments. His brother was in the pen with me. I think we all just rolled over laughing. But there was no pearl material ended up in the pen or anywhere. It was all in his tonsils. So.
I think the best to understand, I think a lot of people think there's a lot of money in farming, but there's a lot of money in it, but it's very hard to get any out of it. But I think it's a lot hard work. It's in one time. It's a job if you have to really want to do it, the farm. If you don't really want to farm, I don't think farming's the job for you. Like.
Well, from a veterinary point of view, I think it's important that that I in the practice understand the system that James is on here, that we sort of know the type of calves he's buying, what age he's buying them at, and then sort of anticipate the type of problems that he's likely to encounter. But I also understand that even with the best will in the world, there are likely to be outbreaks of pneumonia and that. So I know I can give James here advice, what vaccines not to use, and then certainly if it gets past the stage that you have to come out and examine calves, I know what to treat them with. I would hope that James will understand that. If he knows that he rings us, we know what his farm's all about, So
yeah, no, it is important. As Kieran says, like if I have a problem, he comes out and he's a good understanding of the farm and what the problems are. Say we built in the shed, I took Kieran's advice on with good ventilation, vaccinating some of the calves for pneumonia, and we had problems with scar a few years ago. And I mentioned to Kieran about the precision microbes, and he advised to use it, and it definitely has helped. It's very good. Any problems we have, they come out and they're out in a very quick time, and can usually sort out most of the problems.